Many letters were addressed to the rulers so that they would become Muslims. Only one letter was received by him, the prophet, from the rulers who asked to be taught Islam. That nation was the nation of the archipelago, Indonesia advanced earlier, which has an army of hundreds of elephants and land rich in gold on the island of Svanadvipa. The pre-Islamic kingdom sites in the Indonesian archipelago were not Hindu, Buddhist, but the origin of the seeds for the embryo of their teachings came from the archipelago Nusantara, Indonesia. Understand once again, this is not Hindu, Buddhist, but the basis for both. Listen and pay attention to academic studies, timeline details, name of character, time and place as follows. The Hijra event, or the departure of the Prophet from his homeland, was the darkness of his country, when the Indonesian archipelago previously experienced a bright period in this region before and after being known as Sriwijaya, which was characterized by the Kedaton government based on the custom, matrilineal, matriarchat, striped on mother. This is not kingdom. Matrilineal, Ki Ratuan, Datuan in Sriwijaya, pre-Islam, with the name of the mother in each generation recorded, including Shang Hyang Dewey Putih Indamo, Shang Hyang Dewey Putih Indo Dunia, Shang Hyang Dewey Putih Indo Jati, Shang Hyang Dewey Putih Indo Dunia, Shang Hyang Dewey Putih Indo Mayang, Shang Hyang Dewey Putih Indo Maida. The literacy text of the word Shang Hyang is not Hindu India, but the original word Nusantara, Indonesia. If it is from India, is this word there? One of the Mother Dewi above has a younger brother who is part of the Kedaton, which is called Maharajadaraja Sariputra, which is called the King of the Peninsula. The current location is in the region of Malacca. The current title is called Dipertuan Ageng. During the first Hijra event, the Prophet, this event occurred in the Indonesian archipelago. Maharajadaraja Sariputra, the arrival of a guest from the Middle East named Abdullah Khattab, who came because the Sultanate in Loksmaur Aceh asked the Prophet. Then after this king studied Islam for 3 years, he went to Maharajadaraja Sariputra, in Malacca. The Sriwijaya, Kedaton, center, which was led by Shang Hyang Datu Maharajadaraja Indra Brahman, was not yet Muslim, but one of the mother goddesses in her younger sibling was chief Vanua, Vatsal, kingdom part of the Kedaton, named Maharajadaraja. Sariputra, in Malacca, was already Muslim because of its location close to Aceh. In the 7th century, 2nd year, the process of conveying Islam, kinship from brother to brother, took place in the center of the location in 13 Koto Kampar. The current location of the Muara Takus site is the center of the puja and the center of government on the hill, Ketangka, against Shang Hyang Datu Maharajadaraja Indra Brahman, who was not Islam at that time. Understand once again, those before Islam were not animism or Hindu, Buddhist. The process of converting to Islam was difficult. Indra Brahman converted to Islam on the condition that must be brought by an expert to Sriwijaya. This was conveyed to a guest from the Middle East, Abdullah Khattab, who had preached beforehand before entering via Aceh. Historian S.Q. Fatimi said that in the year 100 Hijriya, 718 AD, Maharaja Sriwijaya, it is estimated that Sri Indrawarman sent a letter to Caliph Umar bin Abdul Aziz of the Umayyad Caliphate. This letter is still stored in the Turkey Museum. 25 years later, in the 7th century, 27th year, a messenger came at the request of Indra Brahman to Abdullah Khattab through a letter to the Caliph Umar bin Abdul Aziz of the Umayyad Caliphate. A messenger named Abdurrahman bin Abdullah bin Abdul Jabbar was sent after the Khattab. To him, Shang Hyang Datu Maharajadaraja Indra Brahman studied Islam for 13 years from the 7th century to the 27th to 40th years. Then he converted to Islam, then changed his name to Abdullah Amarullah, and preached to Baras, Lamuri etc. Then returned to the Kedaton center. At this time the tribal, Soko Utama, was formed. Domo, Patopang, Piliang, Malayu, formed in the 16th century AD 6. The name, Koto Tuo, is derived from the word, Kato Tuo. Text literacy, Koto, does not mean, city, but means, word, in the local dialect, namely, Kato Tuo. The initial name is called, Kako Nan Tua. The old word is, 2 sentences Shahada. This is where history records the time when, Sriwijaya Kedaton, became Islam. Namely, when Shanghaiang Maharaja Indra Brahman studied Islam in the 7th century 2nd year on the orders of his mother, Putih Bungsu, 3rd generation, Siompu, the Kadra breed before and after being called Srivijaya, ordered to write a letter to Umar bin Abdulaziz Sender, Muslim expert. 25 years later in the 7th century 27th year a messenger came at the request of Indra Brahman to Abdullah Khattab through a letter to the Caliph Umar bin Abdulaziz of the Umayyad Caliphate. A messenger named Abdurrahman bin Abdullah bin Abdul Jabbar was brought in. Shanghaiang Datu Indra Brahman, in the 7th century 40th century embraced Islam after going through long debates and discussions and studying it for 13 years and changing its name to Abdullah Amarullah. Kato Tuo, initial name called Kako Nantua, known as Sobe Nanalui, then published Sobe, from the word Soberaya, pre-Islamic name, Shanghaiang Dewey Putih Sobe Nanalui, nephew of Indra Brahman, whose mother is the eldest brother of the 3rd generation, Shanghaiang Dewey Putih Sobe Nanalui. His mosque is on Katanka Hill since the early days of Islam from Malim Putih. His son converted to Islam to Abdurrahman since he was 16 years old. Followed later by Bujang Malim. In the past, from the Kato Tuo area, 1 kilometer to the Muara Takas site, on the right side of the entrance to the right, this is where the Dharmic original learning complex here remains. The distribution of artifacts showing the former world's oldest university complex, branched in India, Nalanda, in the pre-Islamic era called Dharmapala, when I Ching 671-695 ad came, only visible its foundation. Atiza de Pamkara Srinana, in 1013 AD came here. He studied and was in the palace, Silver Umbrella, for 12 years. This location is to the west of the Muara Takas site, on a hill below which is the village, Tanjoeng. When Corn de Groot 1858 came here and called it, Jandi City, a city with lots of temples. During the Islamic era, many temples were neglected and damaged and then lost or removed because of labeling, 2 teachings that were born in India. In the past, from the Kato Tuo area, which is on the left side of the entrance to the Muara Takas site, currently near the gate on the left side to the Kampar River, there was a large area in pre-Islamic times as the dock area released the graduates to spread the Dharmic original. To be precise, the 6th century 4th year, the 11th day of Saka year. Dapantha Hyang, from the Srivijaya army did, Malapus. This was also often done by previous generations. Not conquering the kingdoms of the archipelago. Malapus is a holy journey, Siddhayatra, brought, Dharma, namely, Dharmic original. This is not Hinduism, Indian Buddhism, marked by his belief in Dapantha Hyang in God One, which pre-Islamic times in the kingdom was called Pakayo Lord Nanaso, Tiado Rupo, also people in this area until now. Dapantha Hyang went on a trip. Suchi, Siddhayatra, carrying Dharmic original, with 2,213 master graduates from Dharmapala University with her eldest son, Shanghaiang Datu Kampala, stopped at the old mountain fostering the people and expanding the temple steadily towards Aceh. To the east and north, stop at Teluk Kuantan to foster people with their second son, Shanghaiang Datu Maharaja Bujang, and expand the temple on the hilltop, Bosau, in the Bosau Hills, continuing to move to the east-south-southeast of Oku, Musi River, Si Guntang Guntang, Mountains Green, Kejukan Hill, Muara Kuala Tungkal, Dapantha Hyang, left his daughter, Shanghaiang Dewey Putih Menangkuk, who later became the kingdom of the Sultanate of Srivijayanasa, Krijanayasa. Palembang is not a center for learning Buddhism. It is one of several locations for learning. Dharma is Dharmic original. The traditional elders here call their ancestors Munyang Myang, on the island of Punjung Bono River, where a son named Dharmaraya is left behind, and built a temple on the island of Punjung and Padang Lawas, to Papua, which later became the Dharmasraya kingdom, sultanate, so the temples in the archipelago were also pre-Islamic kingdoms, not Hindu-Buddhist. When and who are the Hindu-Buddhist missionaries? India to the archipelago, until the sites and the pre-Islamic kingdom were called Hindu-Buddhist. There is no answer, because there never was. It was just labeling the invaders. So, original Dharmak, originated from the area of Srivijaya Kedatuan, dynasty Syailendra dynasty depicted in Borobudur, which underlies the birth and growth of Hindu, Buddhist and Jaina teachings in India, and until now it is perfectly preserved in Bali. By Santo Saba.